This is a video game. No duh, you probably already knew that. While it doesn't look like much today, at one point in history it was considered quite impressive. Back then, games were slower, more methodical, but players wanted something more, something new. Unseen worlds, unexplored concepts, things that were impossible on prior hardware, and only possible within the realms of science fiction. As games progressed, we started to ponder what might happen if we pushed them just a little bit further. What if, instead of just going from the left side of the screen to the right side, we could move up or down or any of the other possible directions? What new secrets might that uncover? I mean, there has to be something beyond these warp pipes, right? It was this curiosity that made developers leave the second dimension behind and venture into the great unknown that is 3D. It sounds like a no-brainer to make games where you can go anywhere, do anything, be anyone, but it took a while for a lot of series to fully embrace the concept of 3D.
It's me, Mario! Hello!
Mario did it in 1996 with Super Mario 64, which is regarded as the textbook example of how to successfully bring your 2D game into the realm of 3D. Many franchises followed with varying degrees of success, titles like Castlevania, Metal Gear, Street Fighter, even my personal favorite franchise, Mega Man, took a crack at it. But the thing is, none of these series could stand up to the mighty mustachioed plumber. His power was just off the charts. But if anyone came close, it was Bubsy. I won't lie, Bubsy 3D is a pretty good attempt at bringing Bubsy to the third dimension in that it's just as bad as the 2D entries that predated it. But Mario did have a rival, a legitimate rival, one that pushed him to harder extremes than any other mascot ever made. And that motherfucker was Sonic the Hedgehog. The battles that unfolded on the playgrounds of elementary schools over which was better are the things our grandchildren will sing songs about. Mario made a huge impact in the realm of 2D, and made an even bigger one when he jumped to 3D. And that impact has only been growing. Every time Mario started in a 3D game, it was huge. Every single entry in his series is a serious contender for the best game of that generation. But Sonic wasn't as lucky. He killed it in 2D with the amazing Genesis trilogy, and definitely not CD. But 3D always seemed like something Sega and Sonic teams struggled with. The first game to feature the blue dude with attitude in 3D was Sonic the Fighters, a 3D fighting game using the same engine as Virtua Fighter. And it never saw a home release until almost a decade later when even less people cared. The late 90s as a whole were difficult for Sega. The Genesis did well in the West, but not quite everywhere else. It also had a million add-ons, then the Saturn came out and did amazing in Japan due in part to their excellent marketing campaign, but failed to gain any traction over here, and many people blame that on the system lacking a true Sonic game. It did get ports of the first three titles, but nothing to really call its own. It almost did get one twice though. Sonic Extreme is a game that is well documented on the internet, but the other we only really got a taste of in the compilation Sonic Jam, in which you get to explore a small area as Sonic. It was primitive, but it was a neat little slice of what a 3D Sonic title could be. That slice was what would eventually become Sonic Adventure, a launch title on the Sega Dreamcast and Sonic's first real jump to polygonal glory. I remember seeing ads for this game all the time on TV as a kid, and the date of September 9th, 1999 just got burnt right into the back of my skull. Now, I was a huge Sonic the Hedgehog and Sega fan growing up, and I was absolutely pumped to play this game. I'd see commercials all the time on TV and magazines, and every one of them only served to further fuel my desire to play what I thought would be the pinnacle of gaming. And on September 9th, my brother actually went to a store to buy a new game. I was hoping it would be Sonic Adventure and a Sega Dreamcast. He came home with Final Fantasy VIII. I have still not forgiven him. But I did eventually get to play it, and how was it? How was Sonic's first jump into the third dimension? What did 7-year-old me think about it? Well, I liked it back then. The things that were good were great, and the things that weren't very good are still not great, and they weren't good back then. But I'll explain. Sonic Adventure opens up with a fantastic FMV to set the mood. Like Budokai 2, I would watch this opening every single time I started the game up. It made it feel like a TV show to me. I'd even do this stupid "last time on Sonic Adventure" narrations in my head when I booted it up. Like, this was like some Dragon Ball Z shit. I was a pretty goofy ass kid, which I guess not much has really changed. And this first person part showing Sonic's point of view as he blazes through this jungle just causes all the dopamines to rush to my brain. This opening gets me so pumped, and for the time, it looked amazing. Hell, it still looks amazing. I remember this game came out in 1998 in Japan, and showed graphics that not even PS1 FMVs could pull off. I mean, it truly was the next level. And the title screen, oh my god, so much nostalgia, so much! This game hits every note that I want it to hit right now. The story begins with Sonic running around a city named Station Square, and I kind of like this idea of Sonic living in a normal-ish world, acting as sort of a superhero for the general public. Think of The Flash with like a Fur Affinity account. After the cutscene, we're thrust into the very first boss fight. No figuring out mechanics, no figuring out the controls, just right into the fire, don't be a pussy. Thankfully, Chaos Zero is easy as piss, and only takes 3 hits to beat. After beating him, we cut to Sonic just chilling at a hotel pool where we start to see the first big issue with this game. Sonic lives alongside people, like real people, like with arms and legs and jobs and stupid human faces. Now, seeing Sonic alongside people is nothing new in 2022. But at this point in time, you have to remember, Sonic only had a handful of characters, and only 4 main ones. 3 of them were animals. Animal-ish. Like, Knuckles doesn't really look like an echidna. But seeing Sonic alongside normal humans is oddly jarring, especially the Dreamcast's low-poly approximation of a human. The other main issue with this game is evident as soon as you start the first level. See, this is the original Dreamcast release I'm playing here, and oh boy is the frame rate rough. I grew up playing the GameCube version as a kid, and to be brutally honest, I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, that's the best version. Don't let people on the internet tell you otherwise. The frame rate in the original release hinders a lot of the fun you might have zooming around the levels. Which is why I'm switching to the HD remaster, which released on the Xbox 360, as it's the absolute best version in terms of frame rate. But frame rate aside, how does Sonic the Hedgehog translate into 3D? The thing to remember about Sonic the Hedgehog is that the 2D games are platformers that use speed as a means of rewarding skilled play. Does that transfer well to 3D? Yeah, actually. 2D Sonic levels are designed to take advantage of the momentum-based gameplay, and curling into a ball and going off a ramp to cut your level completion time in half is one of the most satisfying things in life.
It's as satisfying to me as coming is.
Now, for fans of the 2D games, you will be pleasantly surprised to find that the 2D gameplay is transferred over very well. Sonic is slippery, but reasonably so. He moves in a way that allows the players to use his unique skill set to zoom around and skip huge chunks of the level to cut down their completion time. To varying degrees of success. Again, he's slippery, but fun to run around with. It's more like playing with a toy, like an RC car. There are definitely times where I wish he was a bit tighter, but overall, it's still fun to just zoom about. Despite Sonic himself being pretty loose, I find that it's easy to get caught on the geometry. Even when there's clearly nothing there, I still find myself getting snagged on something, ruining the flow of the gameplay. The other issue that's noticeable throughout the entire game is just how bad the camera is. Due to the Dreamcast lacking a second analog stick, the camera is moved about using the right and left triggers, and it moves very, very slowly. And a lot of times you'll have to adjust your viewpoint to see where you're running to, but the camera just gets stuck on some level geometry. This is most notable in the casino level, which I absolutely hate. The camera refuses to cooperate with the player, and honestly that's the least of the issues this level has. Instead of zooming around, you have to collect rings to get a Chaos Emerald, and in order to get to it, you have to play mini-games. like pinball, and pinball, and more pinball. Did I forget to mention pinball? I will admit, I definitely prefer the Knights Table a lot more than the actual game it's based off of, and I also like how the Sonic-themed table has classic Sonic art, which shows the era this game came out in, but Sonic and pinball has never really been a good couple. But the major thing with Sonic Adventure, aside from its heavy story focus, is that you got a chance to play through different stories besides Sonic's, allowing you to see from everybody's different viewpoints what the fuck is going on. On paper, this sounds great. While the title is Sonic Adventure, the adventure isn't solely about Sonic. You have 6 characters, each with a unique story and gameplay elements, of which you unlock as you meet them as Sonic. You are supposed to finish Sonic's story first, but it only gives you a small sample of the overarching plot. Tails' gameplay is a lot like Sonic's, but the levels are a bit shorter and easier. The goal is to race an opponent to the end goal, which becomes insultingly easy due to the fact that Tails can just nope through huge chunks of his stages. It's definitely cool, but I feel like the game would have been more fun if you had a stricter limitation on how far you can fly. It's clear that Tails' best level is Ice Cap Zone, which has you racing on a snowboard downhill against Sonic, and it does get pretty tense. Tails also has probably the best story of everyone save for Gamma, where he goes on a journey of self-discovery and realizes that he's a lot stronger and more capable than he thinks. Good thing Sega has never forgotten that and will never ever ruin that. It's cute and oddly wholesome, and this story is what makes the events of Sonic Forces hurt a hell of a lot more. Knuckles is meh. His story is fine with him having to hunt down shards of the Master Emerald to keep it out of the hands of Chaos. His levels require him to locate 3 pieces of the Emerald, and I honestly always hated these stages as a kid. The levels are huge, which is fine for Sonic as he's fast. But Knuckles is slower, a lot slower, and the Emeralds can be hidden in a lot of different places like in crates or enemies or even underground where you can't see them. His levels still frustrated me while playing this, but thankfully he's got a pretty short campaign. Next up is Amy Rose. Amy Rose debuted in Sonic CD as a sort of damsel in distress. This is her first canon appearance since then, but she was a playable character in spin-offs prior to this. This is also the first time we saw her modern design, and it hasn't really changed much. And they have this weird thing with panty shots with her. To be brutally honest, I hate this version of Amy. She's constantly defenseless and always running after Sonic. Boom Amy is probably the most likable version of her due to being funny and, an actual character, but this Amy is just annoying. Equally annoying are her levels. They have you running away from a robot that if he catches you, it's game over. But maybe running isn't the right word, because running indicates a sense of urgency, haste, speed. Whatever the fuck this is, it's not running. She does have some cool abilities like the hammer flip, but I just wish she ran faster. Her story isn't too bad though, as she tries to reunite a lost bird with its parents. Despite being annoying, she does have a big hand in Gamma's plot. Gamma is the 5th character, and he's a robot built by Robotnik for the purpose of finding the Chaos Emeralds. Gamma is oddly complex for a Sonic character as he's conflicted. When the other robots all fail to find Froggy, and we'll get into that in a bit, Robotnik just kills them and one of them turns to Gamma, but you don't quite get the feeling that Gamma realizes he was the cause of their deaths.
Give me the bird.
If the Hayes office would only let me, I'd give him to Boyd, all right.
As you progress through this story, he interacts with Amy and she teaches him about friendship and love, and Gamma eventually casts off his shackles and seeks to destroy his rebuilt brethren, as he realizes that he and his kind are considered mere tools by Robotnik. He's an oddly sad, quiet soul, and his ending still to this day is one of the best I've seen in a game like this. It's heartwarming despite being very bittersweet. His levels primarily have you just pew-pew-pewing enemies under a time limit, all while trying to reach the boss of the stage. They're not bad, but not amazing. A fun diversion from the rest of the game. And last up we've got Big. Everyone knows about Big the Cat. Big the Cat is a meme by this point. a meme that even Sega themselves are getting in on. But imagine that it's September 9th of 1999, the new millennium is just about to start. You run to your local EB Games, you put down all your hard-earned cash for a brand new cutting-edge Sega Dreamcast. You get Sonic Adventure and a VMU. You leave the store thinking, hot damn, am I in for some amazing white-knuckle action when I get home. You think you're just going to be running through shuttle loops, sprinting from orcas, fighting overweight nerds that haven't had enough swirlies. All that good shit. And you play through 5/6 of the game to be met with fucking this. Fishing. Fucking fishing. Someone at Sega thought that the proper way to cap off this massive system-selling title that their entire console was banking on was fishing. Now, nothing against fishing itself. Some people find it fun and relaxing, but me, I've done it a few times and I'd really rather do anything else. I certainly don't want it anywhere near my video games. Other games that I do like have it in there, like Ocarina of Time and Twilight Princess, but it's largely optional. Here, you have to do it and it's not fun at all. And Big moves like a morbidly obese cat. However slow you think a chonky-ass cat would be, Big is even slower than that. But my earlier issue of characters getting caught on invisible corners is amplified 100-fold for Big. As his name would suggest, Big is a thick boy. Big gets stuck nearly everywhere, and the less sense something makes to get stuck on, the more often it happens. Worse yet, he is the easiest character to get on the fucking train as his arms just clip through the doors. Thankfully, Big only has 3 levels, but god are they bad. The first is Twinkle Park, and it doesn't seem that hard, but somehow catching Froggy took me 12 goddamn minutes of my life that I will never get back. He just ignores the fucking lure. Just bite it. Come on, bite the fucking lure! If you thought the first level was bad, the second is even worse. First off, who keeps moving this fucking ice stone? Second, you have to do a lot of platforming, with a character that doesn't jump very well, and also is slow as fuck. And because that wasn't enough, you have to do it while carrying rocks, which slow you down. Yes, you did hear that correctly. They make you move even slower. Like he's already moving at the speed of smell, but somebody at Sega thought, nah, motherfucker, that's too fast. You're gonna poke your eye out doing that, man. And everything in these levels is broken. I had multiple times where I placed a boulder down and it caused a glitch in the matrix, causing it to warp to the bottom, costing me several minutes of work. This level took me 20 minutes. 20 goddamn minutes in a Sonic game. The level wasn't even long. I mean, it was, but only because of how fucking slow Big moves. His last stage is the hot shelter. And honestly, I was in such a blind rage at this point that I kinda just blacked out and have forgotten every detail about this level. And of course, Big does have this one and only boss fight against Chaos 6. And if you think trying to catch a frog while a giant water monster god tries to kill you would be hard, you would be wrong because this final boss only took me 44 seconds. His gameplay isn't fun, and he's got probably the worst individual story of everyone here. But that's the thing. Each story is just one slice of the entire pie. Every character crosses paths with each other, be it Sonic starting out with Tails by his side, to fighting Knuckles running off with Amy through a theme park, or scrapping with Gamma. Each character has a chance to interact and their plots all intertwine with each other. And throughout each story, every character sees visions of the past involving an echidna girl named Tikal trying to prevent her father, the chieftain of their tribe, from going to war with a never-seen on-screen enemy. Tikal is a weird character. She doesn't really do too much besides provide lore in cutscenes and hints during the gameplay. It's this war that she's trying to prevent that leads to the events that cause Chaos to awaken, as the animals he loved and protected are killed in the crossfire in raging. We see Chaos constantly change forms throughout the game as he absorbs more and more of the Chaos Emeralds. I honestly really like Chaos as a villain. He's not evil per se, but he's a negative force fueled by this divine rage. I know Sonic gets compared to Dragon Ball Z a lot, and I see why, but Chaos gives me Cell vibes, just this unstoppable monster that is always changing its shape and growing stronger, providing a new threat every single time he shows up. And with all 6 stories completed, you gain access to the true final boss, Perfect Chaos. And honestly, this is the best part of the game. I love it so much. It is incredibly epic, and just whatever you think like a final boss in a Sonic game should be, this is it. Like, this is my favorite final boss in any Sonic game. It's so hype. You need to play through it. It's so good, in fact, that it almost makes playing through Big's story worth it. Almost. Chaos has now grown so powerful that Eggman literally cannot control him, and Chaos just blasts him out of the sky. Things are looking bleak for Sonic and the rest of the gang, and Station Square is, New Orleans'd. Tikal, revealing herself to be the ball of light that guided you throughout the game, tells Sonic that Chaos only absorbed the negative energy from the emeralds, and that he can still make use of whatever positive energy they have left. The nearby survivors cheer his name, and with all 7 Chaos Emeralds combined, he becomes the hope of the universe, the answer to all living things that cry out for peace. He becomes Super Sonic. And yeah, copyright infringement aside, this is fucking cool, as is the final battle with Chaos himself. It has you trying to charge at Chaos, all while trying to avoid all of the shit that's in your way. With you being Super Sonic, you naturally can't die by being hit. It does, however, slow you down a fair bit. This works because your only way of outright dying in this boss fight is by running out of rings. I also feel like this moment is elevated by the amazing and fitting use of the game's main theme, Open Your Heart, by Crush 40. I actually haven't spoken about the music much, but it's fantastic. Every character besides Gamma has their own unique theme that plays at moments during their story. And all of them have good composition and lyrics that, okay, they're cringy outside of the game, are about the characters. Also, whoever did Knuckles' theme, unknown from ME, just has some damn good flow. Even some of the stage themes and power-up jingles have callbacks to past Sonic games, such as Sonic CD and Sonic 3D Blast. I like little stuff like that, kind of like how Tron Bond's theme in Mega Man Legends contains a few bits from Cutman's theme from Mega Man 1, just little things. Back to the final battle. You only have to run into Chaos a few times to quell his anger, and when you do, Chaos is reunited with his Chow, and he and Tikal float off into space.
I have to go now. My planet needs me.
All in all, I like the story in Sonic Adventure. I kind of only gave the Clip Notes version of it, but it is a really good story. I can see why the game is still loved to this day. Hell, my opinion of it over the past 22 years really hasn't changed that much. This was one of the games that made me realize that video games could be more than just simple time wasters, but full-on experiences akin to major films or novels. The story, while convoluted and maybe not as well told as it could be, is still gripping. And saying that about a Sonic game does feel really weird, but all the character drama and interactions going on here work really well. I really like seeing all of these characters interact, and most of them have an important role to play in the overarching story being told. Most being the key word. Tails and Gamma, despite having really good stories, don't play a huge factor in the whole stopping Chaos thing. Same with Amy. The main story is largely carried out by Sonic, Knuckles, and, ironically, Big. As much as I hate Big, his connection to Froggy is a major driving force for the plot. Without Froggy, the entire story would be a fair bit shorter than it currently is. The story also has this whole fighting is bad theme to it, with Tikal's attempts at preventing a war and said war resulting in the deaths of Chao and the cause of Chaos's rage. This is also why the point of the final battle with Perfect Chaos is to calm him down. But the anti-war message kind of falls flat because of just how much fighting you end up doing. I get that they have to have boss fights here and there to add a little punctuation to certain stages and story moments, but a lot of the most memorable moments in this game are the bosses. And making a game with themes of pro-peace, and then turning around and making the parts where fighting is literally the only answer, the most enjoyable parts of the game, kind of does undermine whatever impact the themes may have had. The story is also delivered with some very memeable animations and line delivery. For whatever reason, Sonic looks like he's got a 500% animation mod on at all times. And I get that Ryan Drummond is really trying here, and he definitely improved as Sonic in later games, but I'm just not feeling him here. I weirdly don't mind Tails' voice. I mean, he's wooden, but that's all I can really say about his voice actor because he's voiced by an actual kid. And I feel like I would be a bit of an asshole for picking apart the acting chops of a child. Knuckles' voice actor, on the other hand, he's bad. Like, really bad. Like the kind of bad voice acting that memes are made of.
Oh no.
The real highlight of the cast is the late Dean Bristow's role as Dr. Robotnik. While I do love me some Mike Pollock, Dean Bristow's Robotnik is only rivaled by the likes of Jim Cummings in just how dripping with evil he is. He's not a joke in this game, but a legitimately threatening villain. And every single line he delivers is just filled to the brim with this sinister intent.
You fool. Away, before I make mincemeat out of you.
He provided the voice for Robotnik right up until Sonic Heroes. And sadly, Dean Bristow passed away from a heart attack in 2005 at the age of 57. There's also a couple gameplay things I'm not too wild about. In between levels, you get to explore small hub areas called adventure fields. Oftentimes, there will be upgrades or items to find that will grant you access to new stages. Think kinda Super Metroid. Things like the Lightspeed Dash or Knuckles Shovel Claw. While these do broaden your moveset a fair bit, I never found a use for a lot of them. The Lightspeed Dash allows Sonic to snap towards a line of rings and can be upgraded later on for combat. But it wasn't fun to use, and honestly, you only ever need to use it once. Knuckles, on the other hand, gets some weird breathing Hammond shit, and I never found a single moment where you had to use it. And the only time I did end up using it was just to see what it did. Tails and Gamma probably have the most useful ones as they actually contribute to their platforming. You'll also find these weird eggs in the adventure fields, and these house Chows. Chow are these small, weird, winged baby things that a lot of people really like. Think Moogles from Final Fantasy, only not cute. In fact, yeah, they are literally just Moogles. Chow live in the Chow Gardens, and the player can raise them sort of like a virtual pet. In fact, in the original Dreamcast version, you could load them up onto your VMU and take your Chow on the go, raising it by playing minigames before transferring it back. They went even further with the GameCube port, where if you had a GBA, a link cable, and one of the many Sonic Advance titles, you could raise your Chow using the tiny Chow Guard. There is no such feature on the HD remaster, making it so that if you want to raise your Chow, you need to be at home, on your couch, taking away some of the fun of raising these little bastards. The Chow Garden is also kind of shoehorned into this game, and it's not particularly fun to raise them. A lot of people really want Sega to bring the Chow Garden back, but it was only really good in the second Sonic Adventure. And here it's kind of just a cute little side thing that's fun for a few minutes. Also, you can throw them. I don't know why you would want to. It does make them hatch a little faster, but you can totally do it. You can just partake in ye old ultra violence of does this count as child abuse or animal abuse? I also find that the Chow are far too low poly to be cute, which is further emphasized by how dead and soulless their eyes look. You can even feed them animals to boost their stats. Look how cute they are as they rob these adorable woodland critters of their life energy. Like, Sonic's kind of evil here. At least when Robotnik uses these animals for his robots, they're still alive. Sonic saves them just to feed them to these tiny, eldritch horrors. And with that, I think I've talked about Sonic Adventure as much as I possibly can. For a first attempt at bringing Sonic the Hedgehog into 3D, it's surprisingly solid. The actual Sonic parts of this adventure are fun and fast, but not so fast that it forgets to be a platformer. Where the game does fall short, however, is with the other characters. Tails' levels are too easy, Knuckles just isn't fun, same with Amy, and while Gamma's got a fantastic story, his shooting stages range from good to eh. And the less said about Big the Cat, the better. All of this combined with a plot that's message is kinda just thrown to the wayside, do hurt the game a fair bit. This game was a huge deal when it came out and became the best-selling title on the Sega Dreamcast, so it's definitely far from being a bad game, but it's also equally far from being a great one. Now, Sonic T. Hedgehog would go on to star in other 3D ROMs, which maybe I'll get to at some point. Lord knows that I have a fair bit to say about titles like Sonic 2006, Heroes, and some of the spin-offs. And I don't know, who knows, maybe I'll cover them in the future. Now, the review is over, but I would like to take a few seconds to just thank everyone that's watched this far into the video and supported the channel so far. The channel's small, but it's slowly growing. I put a lot of hard work and effort into these videos, and I really hope that people do watch and enjoy them. I greatly appreciate all of the support, no matter how small. This is the last review of 2022, and I'm looking at amping up production going into the new year, where maybe I'll actually earn the random part of my channel name. I hope you're all looking forward to watching them as much as I am making them. Thank you. And have a happy Halloween, a Merry Christmas, and just get shit-faced on New Year's. Like, treat yourself, man. Like, fuck your liver. What the fuck does it know? Till next time.